Shana Tova. Wow, I got to say, I wasn't sure what kind of crowd to expect today. This is pretty overwhelming. It's fantastic, and welcome to everybody who came out, and welcome to everybody who's watching on live stream. It's really great. So a little while back, a few years ago, when my sons Jake and Luke were still teenagers, my father Howard arranged a special aliyah for us during the Nila service. Generally, as you may know, only past presidents are supposed to stand on the bema for this concluding service. But Dad had me, obviously before my presidency, and my two sons stand up on the bema with all the past presidents. And I was honored, of course. But at that time, my sons and I didn't fully appreciate the significance of all of us standing together on the bema. Well, fast forward to today, and here I am in the second year of my presidency. As some of you may know, I am the fourth generation of my family to be a member of Beth Meyer. And I'm very pleased to have both of my formerly teenage sons here today, who of course are hopefully to be soon fifth generation members of Beth Meyer. I'm also very fortunate to have my parents here today, as well as my brother Brian and his family. As we know, it's not always easy getting people together these days, especially for happy occasions. Well, it seems like yesterday that I stood here in front of you giving my first presidential address. Well, maybe not yesterday. I'm not sure I'd say the first year of my presidency has flown by, but to be honest, it hasn't exactly dragged either. That's true. Believe it or not, the job has actually been more rewarding than I thought it was going to be. And it may sound corny, but in no small part because I truly believe that our Board of Trustees, our volunteers, our clergy, and our staff are really working hard together and well together to try to improve our synagogue. This past year's successes are a testament to that hard work and dedication. One of our goals, as you may know, as a board was to merge the Beth Meyer preschool into the Beth Meyer synagogue, and we were thankfully able to accomplish that. And this transition is still ongoing, but it's already been very positive for both the preschool and the synagogue, and we expect that to continue. In the religious school, this year, thank goodness, we were able to have in-person classes the entire year. However, we were also able to leverage technology in cases where a child was in quarantine or there was an outbreak or even on a few snow days. And we also wanted to improve the communications to the congregation. And just look at the improvements this past year, both visually and content-wise, to Hamagid and our other print and digital communications. Just as an example, the How Holy Days booklet looks great. The adult education book looks great if you haven't seen that. Even the tickets look good this year. Kudos to Lauren Isaacs for leading this charge, and we will keep striving for even better communications this year. So I did have several lofty goals for my presidency, and we did accomplish a fair amount of them last year, and I have higher expectations for this year. For one, the board plans to focus our attention on creating a new strategic plan for the synagogue. It needs to be done every few years, and the time is now. This is going to require input and hard work from our board, from our professional staff, and clergy, and you, the congregation. This is a joint effort. Hopefully, we will come up with a strategic plan that will help guide us for the next several years. Second, as many of you know, we began planning in 2019 for a campaign to build a more robust endowment. All good practices says that a successful synagogue needs a robust endowment. Unfortunately, as we know, we had to take a pause the last 2 years as we weathered the worst of the pandemic, But our board has unanimously agreed that now is the time to relaunch this campaign, and we are doing just that. While our congregation's current focus is on our Open the Gates annual campaign to support our immediate operating and programming needs that are not covered by your dues payments, the Securing Tomorrow Endowment campaign will build the financial resources that the Beth Meyer community needs to plan wisely for new challenges and new opportunities for years to come. In the year ahead, we are going to invite our entire congregation to support this campaign. Gifts of all levels will be welcome to build this endowment and help us secure a sustainable tomorrow. And we also hope that people outside of our membership will contribute, especially if you have any connection at all to Beth Meyer. As an example, my brother Brian, who has not lived in Raleigh or been a member of Beth Meyer Synagogue for over 25 years, recently gave a very meaningful gift to our endowment campaign and to our annual campaign. Even after all these years away, Beth Meyer still held a special place in his heart, and he took action to help it continue to thrive. As I've spent the last few weeks reflecting on the state of the synagogue in preparation for today, I couldn't help but think about my experiences at Beth Meyer. I'll be frank with you, I'm not the most observant in the room. I don't come to services every week, even though more since I've been president. I haven't read from the Torah since my bar mitzvah. And unfortunately, I haven't yet had the time to take some of the fantastic courses that are available here. Nevertheless, I take comfort in the fact that Beth Meyer is here for me now and will be here for me when I need it or I want it. Knowing that there will always be a safe space for me to take classes when I get the time, to attend a Shabbat service or a Friday night dinner. I got news for you, though. Like our increasingly frail national democracy, there's no guarantee our beloved institution will be here forever. As soon as we let our foot off the pedal, start taking things for granted, as soon as we believe others are supporting the synagogue, I don't have to do my part. When that kind of thinking creeps up in a collective way, we could be in trouble. I've often argued that synagogue membership and support should not be evaluated based on quid pro quo. We can't think, well, if I become a member, if I pay these dues, what do I get in return? It just doesn't work that way for the Jewish community. It's important to think of it more as an insurance policy. You're helping to ensure that this institution is here not only when you need or want it, but you're paying it forward for the next generation. And what's more, in my humble opinion, openly attending services, expressing our Judaism in public, and making use of our great synagogue, in fact, your very presence here today, are acts of defiance against intolerance in this world. As some of you may know, and as the rabbi mentioned in his sermon last night, anti-Semitic flyers have been recently distributed in several Raleigh neighborhoods. I don't know what the motivation is, perhaps to scare Jews and non-Jews alike. But I can tell you, I, for one, am not scared. And I'm not going to give in to small-minded bigots who choose to hide in the shadows. The Maccabees showed their defiance to their Hellenistic conquerors by continuing to observe Judaism, and they fought to preserve a Jewish community. Now, our struggles may not be what they faced, but we still have to fight for our community just the same. And by the way, lest anyone here think we are unprepared at Beth Meyer, we already probably have the most robust security apparatus of any Jewish institution in town. We have a volunteer security team that's affiliated with an international security outfit. We have multiple high-tech cameras around the property, alarm systems, panic and lockdown buttons, locked doors, tinted glass, physical barriers, and police presence at our services and major programs. Now look, nothing's foolproof. We can't guarantee anything, but it would be very difficult to say that we are an easy or soft target. and we are constantly looking for ways to continue to keep us even safer. So I mentioned at the top of my speech about how my sons, Jake and Luke, and I stood on the bema with my father and other Beth Meyer past presidents, and how I didn't quite understand or appreciate the significance of that at the time. Now I think I do appreciate it and I do understand it. Between my father, myself, and my sons, we represented the past, the present, and the future of Beth Meyer. Beth Meyer was there for our past presidents. Beth Meyer is here for me now, and I'm confident that with your help, it will still be here and thriving for my children and the next generations. So in conclusion, I want to give a special thanks to our Board of Trustees for their continued hard work and service for our synagogue. I want to thank our executive director for bringing fresh ideas to the synagogue and for solidly managing our affairs. I want to thank all of our fabulous professional staff for making this synagogue not only run, but hum. I want to give a special shout out, as always, to our CSS security volunteers for helping to keep us safe. And I also want to give a special shout out to the member of the Hesed group, which frankly I wasn't as aware of before I became president. But they are so selfless and so caring, so giving and helpful to those in our community in need, and we appreciate it. Thanks, of course, to our great rabbis, Eric and Jenny, who not only lead us beautifully in prayer and care for us in our time of need, but also for putting together great educational videos and opportunities for our congregation. And finally, thanks to the entire congregation for being here today, for your continued membership, volunteerism, and support. And may this year, God willing, be a sweet year for us all.
Amen. Shana Tova. Awesome, Keith. Yes,